those kind of people. Just to give you an example, as I can also at the end of the comment, I can type in script language is equal to JavaScript and type in alert hello, which is innocent, doesn't do anything bad. Now if I click on publish, I get a hello alert, and the downside is that if I display these comments back on the video.html page, it's going to, every time that someone visits the page, it's going to say hello, which is not what I want. And if I do a view source, it contains this as a test comment, and that's exactly what I entered in on it. And one way around it is to do a filter underscore input array, specify a constant of input post, which is the equivalent of doing a $ post, but it knows to access that super global. And I'll give it a filter, and I'll run, which is another constant, it's filter sanitize string, and I'll assign this to a variable called comment. Now if I do a var dump on comment, I'll resubmit this form, and this time I don't get an alert, and if I do a view source, the script tag has gone away. And that's just one of the two situations I can think of, and I'll talk about the other situation as I insert the comment into the database. I'll create a function called add comment, and I'll give it some parameters, video ID, which is an internal ID. I'm not really concerned about it at this point. I'll give it a hard-coded value, the actual comment that they typed in on the form. Yes, and the user handle, which I also won't use at this point, because the idea is just to insert. I'll just call this comment text, just to differentiate it from this variable. So this is the comment text that you entered in on the form. So to connect to the database using the MySQL functions, there's a MySQL underscore connect function that accepts 4 different parameters. First is the server location where the MySQL database is located at. For me, it's located on my machine, so I'll just give it localhost. I'll give it a username, which is the non-administrative user that I created, which was dev underscore 1000. The password, and then the database in MySQL to access, which is dev underscore comment underscore system. And this will actually return a handle to the open database session, and it refers to it as a link. I would rather call it a database handle, but all the examples call it link, so we'll just go with the flow. To test to see if it's successfully connected to the database, you can run a MySQL underscore connect underscore error number, and you give it the handle to the database or link. And if everything went through fine, it will return an integer of 0. So I'll put this into an if statement. If it connected successfully, I'll want to have it insert the comment and then close the connection to the database, which to close it is MySQL underscore close, and you give it the database handle. For everything you open, you end up closing. unless you want to do database pools, but that's a whole different topic. To actually insert a record into a database, and this is something called SQL, or structured query language. You would do in a statement that looks like this. You would do insert, let me make it lowercase, insert into comment. That was the table I called it. It's probably better to view it up here. So this is the table comment, and I want to give it a video ID, which is an internal ID. I'll just give it a number for now. And the handle I'm not interested in, or the person ID I'm not interested in at the moment. But I'll want to give it a message, which is the information I entered in on the form. And then that's it. I'll specify those two columns, a video underscore ID and a message. So those are the columns that we're going to be putting into this record. And now I'll need to specify the values. I'll use a word values, and then in parentheses I'll put in the values I want to insert, which consist of a video underscore ID, which is an integer or a number, and a message, which is in the variable comment underscore text. Now that's of type string, so I'll need to put that in quotes. And that's our SQL statement. Now to insert that into the database, I would run a MySQL I underscore query, specify the database handle and the SQL statement I want to run. And just to make sure that everything ran successfully, I can run a MySQL I underscore error num on the database handle. And if everything went through fine, it will return a value of 0.